Jai Janendra everyone. I welcome you all to the second module of the topic Seven Vices. In the previous first module of Seven Vices, we have learned about Sapt Vyasan, the basic introduction to Sapt Vyasan. Today, we have invited again Anubhav Bhaiya, who is here with us as an expert and who has previously took the topic Seven Vices in the module 1 part, where he beautifully explained the seven vices, the vices part in a very beautiful way with certain examples and with certain adhar of Shastra. So, in the second module, we will be having two lectures, and today's lecture we will be learning all the types of vices, all the seven types of vices, and their brief introduction. In the upcoming lecture, we will be learning more about the seven vices and their Nishchay definitions. So, before I invite Anubhav Bhaiya to start the lecture, I wanted to shortly introduce you all with the Jeev portal. Jeev is Jain English Education and Values. It's a beautifully designed portal. Basically, we are preaching, we are converting everything into English. For the people who are not comfortable in learning Hindi, we are here to present everything, every lecture, every presentation, module wise in English format. How to access Jeev portal, I will give you a demonstration at the end of this session today after 45 minutes after the question answer round. So, yeah, now over to you, Anubhav Bhaiya. You can start this lecture, module 2 of 7 Vices, lecture 1. You can start. Thank you.
Great, Sandra. Thank you, Harshiti. Chaliye, so let's start. Let's get on to this journey about Sapt Vyasan, or as we are calling them in English, seven vices. And we'll start this session with Mangalacharan. Namo Arhantaram, Namo Siddharam, Namo Ayariyadam, Namo Uvachayadam, Namo Lui Saffasapudam. Mangalam Bhagwan Viro, Mangalam Gautamo Gani, Mangalam Kunda Kundatyo, Jaina Dharmostu Mangalam, Sarva Mangalya Mangalyam, Sarva Kalyan Karakam, Pradhanam Sarva Dharmanam, Jainam Jetu Shasanam, Jainam Jetu Shasanam, Jainam Jetu Shasanam. मोक्षमार्गस्य नेतारं वेत्तारं कर्मभूभृतां ज्ञातारं विश्वतत्त्वानां वन्दे तत्गुणलब्धये वन्दे तत्गुणलब्धये वन्दे तत्गुणलब्धये. So we all have started this journey to explore and to learn about the different intensities of passions that we may fall into and how that will further our transmigration in this world. So, the topic on hand today is because our true enemies are the kashayas, the rag, dvesh, and moha, that are the attachments and aversions which we have. Uh, but what furthers them, what makes them more intense and more harmful are the addictions or the different types of vices that we're going to discuss. And they have been categorized in seven forms. So, what are vices? Just to have a quick revision of what we discussed in the last session. Alluring habits that initially appear fun, exciting, and mesmerizing later become deeply ingrained habits that one cannot live without. So, if you'll see, let's take for an example that if I have the habit of having chas, buttermilk, on daily basis, it will not turn into addiction. But if I take on regular basis a cup of tea, somehow I will develop, like my body would want it. And if I do not get it, maybe may suffer with some sort of headache or something. So in Purushar Siddhi Upay, Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev very aptly described that how there are certain types of Vishay, the subjects of senses, five senses. There's certain types of those subjects, objects of senses, which allure us and somehow make us the victim by just how a person who is willing to hunt down an animal would spread out a trap and the trap would be very, very beautiful, very attractive at once. So, for some people, the most beautiful thing in the world would be the trap that invites them that okay, come to us. And that's how, when I find the trap attractive, then only I will approach it, and that's how I'll get trapped. So there are certain places, there are certain activities which we do, and initially they look like fun, exciting, they make us feel mesmerized, but then somehow they make us servant of their need, like they become a compulsion, and we have to keep on coming back to those activities. What does it do? Like, how do we define those objects, those activities? So, first of all, it has intense attachment. So you want it. You like the want has gone to that level that you do not want it anymore. You actually need it. So it has a compulsive behavior that has taken shape in your own personality. And if you don't get it, what it does, it makes you feel a bit restless if you do not get it, and it goes to that level that people resort to self harm in the absence of it. So those who are addicted to certain types of narcotic drugs or certain things, and if they have been made devoid of, they have been separated from consumption of those objects, it becomes very difficult to even tackle them. They start doing self harm towards themselves. What else does it do? So, because I need it so badly, I will make bad decisions. So, if you can convince me that you will give me, you will provide me with this material, I will do anything that he'll ask me to do. So it will impair my decision making, and it will blur the lines between what is right thing to do, what is wrong thing to do, and then that will lead to ethical behavior, unethical behavior. And once you do something unethically, when sometimes your morality is compromised, then it takes on to your emotional health. So it also takes to emotional turmoil, spiritual distraction, extreme manifestation of sins, and severe karmic consequences. So, not just your present has been ruined, but as a result of that intense passion, intense rag, dvesh, attachments, aversions, you will actually face the consequences, which would be severe. And or like we are habitual of saying that the sins which you commit while you rejoice doing them, you have to serve severe punishment. You have to undergo severe punishment for those same sins. So these are the characteristics of vices. If there is certain activity that you cannot live without doing, then that activity is your addiction, that activity is your vice. So there are two types of vices: physical vice, which is Dravya Vasan, and psychic vice, which is Bhavyasan. And we discussed about it in the last session as well. So the physical manifestation of misconduct resulting from bodily actions like consuming alcohol or consuming meat. So if I consider myself as this body, then whatever wrong that I choose to do with this body, and in turn I am habitual of doing those things, that becomes physical vice, that becomes Dravya Vyasan. And there are certain things, because of my delusion, because of my mithyatva, my wrong belief, there are tendencies of this soul which actually make it in a forever trap of passions, of delusions, and thus furthering the cycle of birth and death. So they are the psychic vices. And each one of these is of seven types with the same names. Uh, Gambling, which is jua, meat consumption, mans bhakshan, addiction to intoxicants, Madirapaan, relationship with prostitutes, Veshagaman, hunting, shikar, infidelity, paristri raman, and theft, chori. So these seven are the seven vices or seven types of addiction, which are actually, in a way, reason for our immoral behavior. So today, what we're going to discuss about in today's module two part of one of this module two discussion, we're going to discuss in detail about the physical vices, Dravya Vasan. So let's start with first one, gambling, jua. What is the definition of gambling? It's very simply defined in Jain text. It is said that any activity which involves somebody's winning and other party's loss. So if the end result of this activity is going to make one person happy and many people unhappy, then this compulsive pain creating activity, compulsive, because my happiness depends on the loss of others, thereby the unhappiness of others, then this activity, which will inevitably create majority of happiness, of pain, and very little of happiness, it becomes jua. So when money or other valuables are wagered in games or other activities with the possibility of winning or losing, engaging in activities with the intention of making quick gains with minimal effort. And it's very dangerous game to be in. So what happens on this? Like, like in today's times, it's very easy for us to fall into the trap of Jua Vyasan, because like all the screens that you are on, your phones, social media, internet, wherever you go, there is always pop-ups which tell you to bet, which ask you to play Ludo or Dream 11, all sorts of apps which are asking you to put in certain amount of money, and then you can win exciting prizes. So betting on sports like cricket, derby, polo, car racing, etc., it is the kind of this century's gambling. Stock market addiction. So when you're doing intraday tradings, futures, options, you're just doing the guesswork, and without following any of your thorough investigation about the numbers, you have put in your money on the basis of the movement of the market, then that is also a type of gamble. Engaging in casino games, card games like poker, blackjack, wherever the money is involved or the stakes are in a different kind, which make you feel worried if you lose. So they become also the gambling acts. Participation in lotteries, lucky draws, tombola, and housey games. Yeah, so whenever we are meeting for parties, mostly one of these things is happening. Yeah, but all of these activities, because they inevitably require a party to lose and a party to win. And if the winning party rejoices, celebrates their win, it becomes Rodridhan. You're being so sadistic. Not that you have won, but the other person is also lost. So your celebration is not just for your winning, but it is for other person's loss. Because the money that you're now going to have after this win is coming from them. And we all know how important money is for everybody. In Jain text, it is called the 11th pran, right? So we have 10 pranas which keep us alive. And money is so dear, wealth is so dear to human beings that they consider, they hold money more important, more close to their heart than even their body parts. And they would sell their body parts even for money, sometimes in dire situations. So, therefore, if somebody's loss of money is making you happy, you are in real danger, karmic influx situation, because your happiness is coming out of others suffering, and thereby it is making a future contract of you suffering while others will enjoy. So this is why it becomes a very cruel game of our emotions, our thoughts. Not because we intend to. We were taking it like a sport. So let's have fun. So let's play cards. So it started as a very exciting, very relaxing activity. But then what it led to is quite dangerous because it being Rodridhyan. So what are the harmful effects of gambling? Winning leads to obsession, ego inflation, and health issues. And that's how the casinos and wherever the gambling is being played, therefore, there are those centers because they know in the long run, everybody loses. Nobody wins in gambling. It's only the casinos, it's only the person who is making you play the game who is the real winner, because you come, you put in your money, you'll win one time a few hundreds, but then you will think that, okay, today is my lucky day, and then you will go all in. And the next thing you know is that you even lost what you originally brought. So nobody in this inflated ego form wins in the longer run. So harmful effects of gambling, yeah, one day you might accidentally think that you're very lucky and you're pro at this game, but in the long run, you're bound to lose. Losing deepens despair, prompting riskier bets and worsening mental health. Great example is the great story of Mahabharata in Indian tradition, not just restricted to the Jaina mythology. Indian mythologies, as they portray the story of Mahabharata, there are so many versions of it. But this one thing is centered, everybody is fixated on this, that, the gamble which happened between the Yudhishthira and Duryodhana, and how the Yudhishthir pledged everything, including, as it is said in the famous story, that he even pledged his brothers, his entire kingdom, even his wife Draupadi. So, this is what it happens. Losing deepens despair, prompting riskier bets and worsening mental health. So, you totally lose your control on your thoughts, on your decision making, and you go beyond your capacity just to win or just to undo the loss. Focus on gambling hinders fulfilling day-to-day responsibility. So, you're constant. If you've invested certain amount in stock market, whatever job you do, time and again you'll keep coming back to see what is the trend, how much did the market move upwards, how much it has come to reds. So because you cannot concentrate, because it's totally uncertain how your bet is going to be, and uncertainty keeps your mind wandering and coming back to that real state of affairs at that time, that okay, I thought that it would happen, did it happen that way or not? So loss extends beyond money to well-being and reputation. So nobody likes a person who gambles because they are not trustworthy and you never know for how long can they be around you. Addiction escalates to other sins, damaging character and relationship. Severe karmic consequences include rebirth in hells and enduring intense suffering. So because we say because we highly say that okay, to be happy I need to have a relaxed mind, I need to have a lesser perplexed brain, the mind without any severe vikalpas. But the moment I indulge in an activity whose result is very uncertain, then it is not possible for me to have the clarity of my mind. And without that clarity, I cannot sit down and do samayik. I cannot sit down and do dhyan. And without dhyan, without concentration, without samayik, how will you ever be happy? So, for Nirakulta, for actually tasting what true happiness feels like, you need to be free from your thoughts. You need to relax. You need to go and turn off all the vikalpas, all the thoughts that we are having. But if my thoughts have been left to certain uncertain activities whose outcome is cannot be predicted, it can go either ways, then how can you expect me to have an idle mind? I will be always curious, wondering about what happened. Did it go that way or not? So, therefore, for a person who is willing to invest into his mental health, into his peace, into self-realization, who wishes to walk on the path to liberation, then it is compulsory for that person to be free from this addiction, which is the addiction of gambling. This leads us to the second addiction, which is meat consumption, mans bhakshan, second vice, where a person originally out of curiosity wishes to taste, okay, how does it taste like the meat? But then it somehow cages that person's will and makes him surrender that he needs that type of food to feel good, to feel happy. So what is meat consumption? Being addicted to the consumption of the flesh of killed or deceased animals for food. It includes the use of items such as bags, belts, and other accessories made from leather, fur, etc. So, meat consumption is not only about eating it, but using any sort of products which involve cruelty towards other fellow beings, animals or humans, whatever the type of being is. So, it is very important in Jain tradition that we practice non-violence. Why non-violence? Because we are the firm believer of this fact that everybody in this world wants innate happiness, and everybody just negates even the feeling of suffering or pain. So there is not even a single jiva who wishes to have pain or suffering or who enjoys in pain and suffering. And there is not even single jiva who does not want to be happy. So when happiness is very fundamental to the very existence of jiva, the conscious beings, then it becomes very important that I do not become an obstacle or I do not become a reason for somebody's pain, somebody's suffering. So when just to please my taste buds, I kill an animal, or just to show off, I skin an animal and make uh, my belt out of it, make my wallet out of it, my shoes out of it, my purse out of it, my car seats out of it, then it becomes a very cruel act because at one place you're saying that you want to be happy, in other space you're not even caring for the pain and suffering of the fellow beings. So your words, your desires, and your actions have a great mismatch. When you're not sure about what brings unhappiness to this world, the very conduct of yours, then how you can ever be worthy of happiness? So, Ahimsa Paramo Dharma is this statement which is very fundamental to Jain philosophy. And therefore, when we get stuck to this habit, we completely lose the right we completely lose the right to be a Jain Shravak. It's a clear no no. A Shravak is the one who does not do the hinsa of trust jivas, the mobile beings. So, out of sthavar and trust jivas, the violence towards sthavar jivas has to be limited because it cannot be completely avoided as long as we are living in our households. But trust hinsa, the hinsa of mobile beings, two sensed organisms, three sensed organisms, four, five sensed organisms, birds, fish, animals, fellow humans, the violence towards these beings, it's a clear no-no because you do not then have the purity of thought which is required to process the wisdom of Tirthankaras. So what all will be included? Because honey and eggs, they are the habitats of Trasjivas. So it includes Madhya Mans Madhu. So, as cruel it is to eat flesh of animals, in same category because they both are trasghat. They are the activities which will mean that violence towards trasjivas has been done. So honey, eggs, food drinks in leather containers. So even something that has been used as container and is made from animal products, animal skin or animal flesh, then it is not consumable for us. Then includes cosmetics tested on animals. So it's not just the flesh, and you do not use the skin of the animal in your wallets or on your shoes, but then we use the cosmetics which has been tested on animals which were kept in captivity, and the tests were happening and the cruelty was perpetrated on them. So that is also now this single cosmetic item which I'm holding in my hand, if animal cruelty has been done to it, then it will also fall into this category. So Mans Vyasan is not only about eating the non-vegetarian food, it is about supporting the violence in any way possible. So, people make it a point of prestige. It's their status symbol to use certain type of things. And those things like, the skin of crocodile in leather purses, coats, furs of exotic animals, shoes, silk garments, all these things which are obtained by harming the animals, they also fall into this category. It involves also eating flesh from various animals, seafood, poultry, mammals, insects, reptiles. And it makes you more and more and more cruel. So it's like, shutting down that kinder side of your personality, because once you enter into such an activity, your moral compass will take a hit, and you would then, ignoring the inner voices which you are having, you would further want more of doing these things. That's how anybody falls prey to the bad habits that they garner over time. So, a person who has eaten flesh for one, forget about person, even if there is a lion, and its normal food is that it would eat animals, hunt down them, the cows, the deers that it finds in the jungle. Just now take a case that a human being enters to that jungle, and somehow the lion gets attracted towards this being, and then he hunts this person down. Now the lion has tasted the flesh of a human. It now wants to eat more of humans, not animals anymore, because there is change in taste. So no, now it becomes very difficult to contain that lion to that jungle. Then it will be entering the cities where the humans live, the villages where the humans live. So see, this is how it makes you a prey, it makes you a dependent. That when initially you taste it, initially you do these things, you do it for fun. Okay, let me explore out of curiosity, and that is too cruel even to try. But then also when you do it, you would repeat it. And that's why it is called an addiction or vyasan, because it makes you their servant. So what are the problems when somebody do the consumption of these items which involve violence? Meat consumption fosters continuous growth of microorganisms and tiny living beings of the same kind, samurchan jiva. So if I have a purse made up of leather, so people may argue that, okay, death happened long ago. And that animal, this is not made up from, killing an animal. The animal died its natural death. Then a person skinned, took away its skin, and then this purse was created out of it. So this is a very neat and ethical animal product. Person can argue. But because we are talking about this religion which has been told to us by the Sarvagyas, the omniscient Bhagwan, and they are the knower of all the happenings of these three worlds of all times. So they have told us that even despite the jiva has gone out and it's pure flesh and animal product, despite that, in every part of that skin, of that leather, of that purse, there are the samurchan jivas of the same type. Let's say it was the skin of a calf, like a panchendriya cow, cow's child, calf. Yeah. So now what will be happening on this skin, which is there on somebody's waist in the form of a belt? The birth of Samurchan Sangi Panchendri Jivas in the same shape, that of a cow, will keep on happening. And the more we consume it, the more we become party to the hinsa of Sangi Panchendri Samurchan Jivas. So on and so forth. So it fosters continuous growth of microorganisms and tiny living beings of the same kind. Addiction to meat correlates with harsh and cruel thoughts. Compassion diminishes towards other beings, including one's own soul, hinders religious inclinations and spiritual progress due to cruelty. Lack of compassion obstructs true happiness and contentment. Inauspicious karma from meat addiction leads to intense suffering in Naraka or hell. So that's why this is also a clear no no for a person who is willing to walk onto the path of liberation of Darshan Gyan Charitra. The next vice is addiction to intoxicants, Madirapaan. And what is it? The act of consuming substances such as alcohol, drugs, BD, cigarette, weed, opioids, heroin, pan masala, gutka, marijuana, hookah, and similar intoxicating substances, becoming attached to and addicted to their use. In today's world, this is one industry which is intensively advertised. You are on an airport, there are duty free counters which are selling premium intoxicants to you, and nobody objects. You're sitting in flight, you're served. You are walking and driving through the city, there are hoardings which are making you curious about, why don't you try it? So this is the tragedy of our times, that the very substances that, used to be uh thing of shame, if we, like, people would not tell it to anybody, even if they consume these things, it has now become the status symbol of this era. So what are the harmful effects? Loss of wealth, health, mental stability, decline in societal respect, and family troubles, because you totally lose your senses and thereby you lose your conduct. You do not understand how should I behave, what should I do, what should I say. And this actually then directly, in that hit of the moment, it hinders your wise choices and spiritual progress. You do not know what types of decisions you're taking. Loss of control, inappropriate behavior, hygiene neglect, disregard for ethics leads to misery and karmic demerits. It is also a direct attack on the very nature which I have. So I can be undergoing through, very difficult phase of my life. I could be suffering from various tensions, and, my mind would explode with all those thoughts, like what will happen if this does not turn out well. Will everything would be okay? Will I ever get out of this trouble? And then like, when you cannot have you do not have control in your mind, you just want your mind to stop. You say, like, why do I not die? The life would be such, like, there will be nothing to be running away from, to be afraid of, to be worried about. So people would want to end their lives. So when the people who do these drugs, who do all these intoxication, who consume all these intoxicants, the same people, they are actually trying to turn off their consciousness. They want to not pay attention. They want to stop the thoughts, the rail of thoughts that is constantly making noise in their minds. And how the karma takes it? The karma takes it, okay, you do not like to think. Okay, so let me take away that conscious activeness from you. And therefore, Madirapaan, it actually dilutes us to that level that our gyan reduces to one sensed organism's gyan. So actually, it is like, just like the gambling was a play of luck. So you were, it is impossible if you gamble for you to be concentrated on anything. So you cannot practice dharma, you cannot do samayik, you cannot contemplate about self, because your thoughts are given to that uncertain happening. When you are consuming meat, you have unfollowed ahimsa, and thereby you have lost the basic qualification to be a student of Jain philosophy. But when you are consuming intoxicants, you are also in for a great trouble, because you are directly questioning your own nature. The consciousness does not want to know. And out of that desire to not know, it has found certain type of substances which shut down my capability to be conscious, to remain in my senses. And it tells a lot to karma about what we want, what type of life we want. तो ना रहेगा बांस ना बजेगी बांसुरी, the karma, the avaran karmas, the jnana karmas, the knowledge obscuring karmas, they will come and they will actually hamper our capability to process things. So disregard for ethics leads to misery and karmic demerits. So it's also a very problematic activity. Now, the fourth type of vice is relationship with prostitutes, which is called in Hindi as Vishagaman. What is it? Engaging in physical relationship with a prostitute, developing any form of friendship or frequenting their services, and forming attachments in such relationships. Uh, like, you are frequenting to the places where you get these services. You're entering to the places where such inclination could be a possibilities, like pubs, bar, shows promote this vice. And technologically, with this advancement of internet, you start generating illicit relationships online through various apps. All these things, they amount to Vishagaman or relationship with prostitute. So this is immoral behavior again, because we are practicing a journey which has to be taken on our own. So, in Moksha Marg, you do not walk uh, with your family, you walk alone. But a person who cannot be innately satisfied within himself, who cannot make peace with themselves and has to sort to illicit relationships, it tells a lot about how their journey is going to be and how they are not worthy of the journey which requires us to be self sufficient. So even Vishagaman, it kind of makes a person in very terrible state. So it leads to loss of wealth, fame, reputation in such relationships. Places promote alcohol, meat consumption, fostering other vices. So you do this vice and you become famous in all other vices, because this is one place where all other things are sold. Transmissions of serious diseases like HIV/AIDS, families torn apart, causing societal disharmony, hinders spiritual progress due to intense attachments. Scriptures liken prostitutes to poisoned swords, leading to suffering in the present and future lives. So it is actually a direct attack on brahmacharya, and because it is also that connecting point which also make intensifies our inclination towards other sides of vices. Therefore, it is also a clear no-no from the financial perspective, from emotional perspective, from health wise. In all ways, this vice is very dangerous one. And like I said, in today's time, it has become, all the things which we are discussing in seven vices, which have been discussed like thousands of years ago in our scriptures. The irony is, those are the same things which are widely marketed in these days. So gambling, you see everywhere the advertisements of all the gambling apps. You play and win, play and win, play and win. Everywhere there is advertisement in between IPLs. Whenever there is a big event, you'll always see these promotion of such apps will happen. Uh, KFCs, McDonald's, chickens, everything is being advertised so extensively, like, even the visuals are being given nowadays. So the Mans, the Trasghat uh, is being very well advertised. The alcohol, I've already told you, it has somehow become a status symbol. Every business meeting, every collaboration that you're going to do, if you have to do, you'll have to sit down and maybe you'll have to have it. So the world has changed. Even same goes for how easy it is now. With the coming of AI, even you can create your own friend using the apps and you can talk to them. So it's your own creation that you're talking to, and they would feel like a real person. That will also fall into this category of prostitution. So it's a quite a tragic world to live in these days. Next is shikar hunting. Though because of the policies of the government, it is not so openly allowed and we do not see people doing this. But then we do it in different ways. The practice of seeking, pursuing, capturing, or killing free roaming animals and birds such as lions, tigers, bears, deer, peacocks, etc., using weapons like swords or guns and deriving enjoyment from such activities. It is hunting. What are the examples? It used to be a sport for wealthy. Now, thanks to the policies, it is not anymore. But then look at the games our children are playing these days. They're not hunting animals anymore. They're literally killing people. So, violent video games. like PUBG generate harmful sentiments, desensitize children to aggression, and reduce empathy while fostering hostile thinking. So, and also, we supporting wars. We saying that, okay, so what? Like they did wrong, so they had to also do it. So they attacked, and so many people died, and okay, they should be dead. Why were they doing something? So, in our general limited understanding of the world and global politics and economics, uh, we give our opinions and we form our beliefs too quickly, and we support violence in so many ways. So hunting was, it was my skill that I have a good aim and I can kill that bird or that tiger, and then I would take joy in, oh, I killed a tiger, I killed a lion, the king of the jungle. And it was a false ego that I was satisfying. So my skill plus my aggression, ego satisfaction, that was what was happening in hunting, which used to be a sport. Now again in very different ways. So we have, because of the advancements in tech, we have found out the ways to still kill and not kill anybody. But in Jainism, we consider the krit, karit, and anumodana, all three at the same levels. Yes. So if I do something, or I do anumodana of something, or I make other person do it, it bears the same consequence. So this is what is happening in today's times. People are doing less of actual hinsa, but doing the same intense emotions of cruelty towards things. So enjoyment in killing resembles monstrous behavior. Hunting disrupts environment, endangering the planet, results in severe demerits leading to unfavorable rewards. Cruel dispositions breed vices, eroding compassion, and hinders spiritual progress. So, a cruel person cannot be sensitive towards even themselves, and thereby it banishes them from walking onto the path of liberation. Infidelity, for Sri Raman, engaging in a romantic or physical relationship with anyone other than your legally wedded spouse, such actions stem from intense attachments and passions because they take a lot of courage. So Ravan's lust for Sita ruined his name, fame, kingdom, and religion despite not touching Sita. His attraction led to downfall. Slain by Lakshman, he was condemned to hell for transgression. So, despite being so intelligent, so powerful, so wise, and he's hailed in all the Puranas for what he was, but that one simple sin of kidnapping other person's wife, Sita, wife of Ram, it ruined his entire reputation in life. Same thing. Seeking extramarital relationships via platforms like Facebook, Tinder reflect similar bias leading to potential downfall. It has become so easy to be connected to so many different people at the same time with all the securities and uh, all type of passcodes, everything, because you can, then you think you can hide it. But does it work like that? It does not. So cheating breeds constant fear of discovery and leads to lies. Society condemns infidelity, tarnishing one's honor. Infidelity breaks families, harms children, and erodes societal ethics. Loss of trust affects all relationships. So these vices are, on a very ground level, are affecting the very way of life that we take. And it is quite destructive. It's quite basic that what is being told to us by our Tirthankaras is that if you do not know how to live a life well, how do you think that you can walk on a path to liberation? If you do not know how to live like a human being, a proper civic being, then do you even deserve to be onto the path of liberation? So, before being the contender of becoming a Bhagwan, you first become a good human. This is what the whole idea is. So, this, it's kind of chori, it's kind of robbery, it's kind of stealing, because here you're stealing yourself from your spouse, from the people who trust you. So it hinders spiritual growth due to immoral actions. The inauspicious karma accrued through infidelity leads to mental and physical disorders, ill fate, and invites severe punishment in hell. Results in inauspicious karma, mental and physical disorders. Scriptures warn against inappropriate attachments leading to severe demerit. So it's like, it harms everybody. It does good to no one. And sadly, with the excessive use of WhatsApp, of different messenger platforms, it has increased. The last one is theft. It starts very small, but it grows real big. The act of inclination of taking someone else's belongings, whether they are forgotten, misplaced, or fallen, without the owner's knowledge or permission, it's called chori or theft. Stealing once is a sin, but being addicted to it is a vice. So, in five sins, we have heard hinsa, chori. So chori is originally a sin, but when you become habitual of doing it and it kind of develops as addiction, then it becomes vyasan. And we see so many shows which promote chori. Yeah, Money Heist, Oceans 11, 12, 13, Doom, all these movies, they somehow tell you like, okay, so smart he was, he could pull this off. But this is actually the Anumodana of Chori. So shoplifting, global issue driven by thrill or amusement. People take it as a challenge. Can I cross this door without getting caught? So it becomes a game. Ticketless travel addiction that, okay, I'm going to travel and no ticket checker would ever find me. Fraudulent activities, like, so in today's world we are like, excessive tax reforms have come, and it becomes quite easy for people to evade the tax, to forge their papers, to give wrong documentation. And then, in today's times, people are also doing the cyber frauds. So the chori is the robbery is not happening like in a traditional way these days. It happens through a call, which is, which very concerned way comes to you. So harmful effects of theft: stealing aims for wealth, but ironically leads to waste and misfortune. Ill-gotten wealth causes physical and mental ailments, disputes, and disharmony. And this is very important. So, your wealth gives you the food that you eat. Your food makes this body. We believe that, the source is also important, like, what I'm consuming, that I should know. But how did this thing which I'm consuming has come to me? So the source is very important, because if source is questionable, then this whole thing becomes questionable. So what is corrupted at the source will never be for our betterment. So stolen possessions bring anxiety and agony rather than enjoyment. Thieves are condemned by society, family, and everyone. No one ever trusts them. Exposed theft results in shame, a tarnished reputation, and punishment in this life and future rebirths. So these were very short detailing of these seven sins, which are Dravya Vyasan, or Dravya sins of Dravya vices that we are told about in Jinvani. What are their consequences and what is the nature of Bhav Vyasan? We'll be taking up that in the next session of this very module 2 of seven vices. So yeah, I think we'll stop over here. Let's hope that, it's very difficult for a Jain person to get indulged in these activities, and this is why we should be very consider ourselves very lucky, very fortunate that we took birth in such families where, as a legacy, like, what did I inherit from my parents? It's this virtue that I do not fall prey to these activities. So yeah, we should rejoice this fact as well, that, we are already so cleaned up and so much saved from the ugliness of this world. And the more it makes us even a better contender to walk into the path of liberation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anubhav Bhaiya, for beautifully explaining briefly about the seven vices. However, the explanation is still pending because we have the other parts in the presentation which are yet to be covered, which we will be doing in the coming sessions. So it's good to see, good to discuss about the acharyas have written the scriptures and all the description in the different kal where the conditions were very different. Now we have accessibility to multiple things, like Bhaiya was talking about Dream 11 and kitty parties, which usually women's do on weekdays, and play some games like Tambola. So indirectly, that is also a vice, that is also a gambling thing. But in the primitive days, it was not much accessible. So it was a big thing. But now, unknowingly, we all are doing the same things. Somebody goes to casino, somebody invest in Dream 11, and that is a win and a lose situation, and that is also a gambling. So this is the point, this is the concept which we wanted to discuss in this session, and which was beautifully explained by Bhaiya, that in present scenario, how are vices that we are doing it in a different form, but it is the same thing. So yeah, thank you for that. Now over to the audience. If anybody has any questions or any point of discussion, feel free to discuss. Anyone? Okay, no problem. So, Bhaiya, I have just one point of discussion which I wanted to do it. We have already covered five, Panch Pap, okay, Panch Pap series with some other expert. So now I just want that there are few things which are common in both vices and Pap. So what is the difference between theft sin and theft vice? I mean, these are the things which are common in both of the concepts. So, what is the difference between chori pap and chori vesan?
Say in if I have to say it in one word, a Samyak Drishti can do chori, but cannot do chori vyasan. He can do chori pap because he's avirati. So avirati means he is not free from any of the paps. So hinsa jhoot chori kushil parigrah, he has not even partially let go of hinsa jhoot chori kushil parigrah. That's why he is in fourth gunistan avirat samyak drishti. But to be Samyak Drishti, he has to leave seven vyasans. This is basic bare minimum qualification of, the purity of the thoughts, which is required to have Samyak Darshan, requires us to not be a victim of these seven vyasans, right? So, what does it mean? What does it mean? Chori, maybe because of my situation that I really need it and I would want to do it. It could be, a single days thing. Okay, I have to, lie to that person so that I can have this thing. And this is a chori, even along with the lie. So it could also be because of situation. Sometimes it could be that, okay, I will hide this thing so that, he does not get that knife so that he will not kill that cow. So this is also a chori, but, my intent is not flawed. So, chori could be out of situation, but the Vyasan Chori, the Chori Vyasan, it would be out of habit. It would be Rodra Dhyan, Chauryanandi. So it's not that you're doing the Chori alone, you're actually enjoying doing it. And you have somehow made it a sport. So, it's just like you get that hit that you want to do it, and then you take it as a challenge, like what Anjan Chor did. So he wanted to impress his girlfriend and he wanted to go to the and he took from that Rani's Mahal and he took away that thing. And then he kept on running. And then he realized later on that, okay, I am a prince. He used to be a prince because of being victim of these seven vices. What has he made of himself? So therefore, a Vyasan is requiring more investment of thoughts, thereby corrupting them in more intensified ways. And there is a huge difference between Chori Pap and Chori Vyasan.
Okay, so basically, when you're habitual to do that sin again and again out of luxury, out of pleasure, out of making money, then it becomes a vyasan. It becomes a vice.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. I think we don't have any questions. Anybody from the audience? No problem. So, if anybody has any questions, maybe after we upload this recording, you can definitely reach out to us via comments or via phone call or via email, whatever. We will help you connect with Anubhav Bhaiya or whosoever expert for the any of the lecture. So that's end for today. It was a wonderful interacting about all the seven vices in brief, and we will be having one or maybe two, whatever. We will be having one more lecture at least for this module to discuss the other aspects of all these seven vices in detail, and we will be having question answer round in that session as well. And then third module we will have it later part of maybe next quarter of this year. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining. Now let me shortly introduce you all with the accessible points to the GIF portal. So this is only for the people who are new because it is very monotonous in every lecture, me explaining how to access GIF portal, but it is important. Because we always access such portals like Coursera, LinkedIn Learning in a professional world where we develop our strategies, our marketing skills, our sales skills. So this is also a skill which will take us not only in this bhav, but this will something take us to in our upcoming birds as well, and maybe to Siddhagati. So Jeev is beautifully designed portal, Jain English Education and Values. Here you will be learning Jainism in English language. You can first of all visit the website www.jeev.net.in. Under the website, you will find resources tab. When you click on the resources, you will see a lot of topics. When you click on any particular topic, let's say here it is mentioned for benefactors, Char Mangal Pat, you will see a window like that. When you click on the start learning, you will see a similar dashboard as you usually see in your professional courses, professional tabs, professional portals. Everything is well designed here, number of modules, number of lecture, and under each topic you will find resources like presentations which Bhaiya shared today in the lecture, and you will be having his audio lecture, his video lecture as well, which we have recorded today. We usually upload after 24 to 48 hours of the lecture completion. You will be having Gurudev Shri lecture snippets. Wherever Gurudev Shri in his lectures spoke about seven vices, we crop that clip of 2 3 minutes or 7 minutes or 10 minutes, convert the English subtitle video out of it, and you can access that video. So all these resources, including articles, presentations, quizzes, are there on this portal. If you feel any difficulty in accessing the portal, you can email us support@jeev.net.in. This is a URL. All the social media handles are mentioned here. Feel free to reach out and we will meet in the next session. Over to you, Anubhav Bhaiya, for Jinwani Stuti and conclusion. Thank you.
निज निधि निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना शत बार है 9 times नमस्कार